All right, we are live. Welcome to the Chicago Sports Bums post Wrestlemania show. This is something we didn't expect to happen. We didn't have this planned. There's no intro, there's no countdown, there's no video, there's no ads. It's just three guys talking about wrestling because that was a crazy show. Dougie, this is your brainchild. I'll let you start. Johnny's gonna meet us in a second. I'll tweet out the links because I hadn't even done that yet. But yeah, give me your initial impressions. We're gonna start from the show. We should probably start reverse order because you're pissed. I know you're pissed.
Yeah, here we go. So let's just do this. We don't have a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Fuck that shit. That was terrible, dude. That was, honest to God, man. Like, I threw the tweet out there. There wasn't a single person going into tonight thinking that Cody Rhodes was winning. There was nobody. Okay. Everybody understood that. I feel like everybody had that in their brain. Like, John Cena's winning tonight, but everybody, and I don't know if it's one of those deals to where, like, I'm going to relate this to bourbon, back to bourbon. You ever have one of those bourbons that you've been so hyped up on, and then when you finally get to try it, you're let down on it? That's how I feel like this main event was, because it wasn't so much as like was John Cena going to win or not? Everybody knew John Cena was going to win, just the way that they were playing it up. But it was, how was he going to win, and what was going to happen? And so the moment that Travis Scott's, whatever music hits and he comes out,
Fiend,
yeah, right, Fiend. Yeah, dude. I was like, okay. I'm like, here we go. This is the start. This is the start. And then once he gets hit with the finisher, we're like, all right. I'm like, here we go. Final boss coming out, and he didn't. So what I'm going to ask you guys is, how do you have somebody like The Rock build it up to this point and then not come out? How the fuck does that happen?
Yeah, it seemed like it was a patchwork finish. It seemed like as soon as Travis Scott's music hit, everyone knew this was going to go downhill fast, because I thought it was a slow build. The main event was a slow build, and I thought it was working for the better. Like, yeah, like there were some slow spots, and Cena's showing his age, but I'm like, all right, this is going to build to something. And then as soon as the music hits, that was bad. Johnny, I didn't even welcome you on. Johnny, welcome on. I know we're all kind of like doing this last minute, but yeah, Jason says Tony Khan loved tonight. And we're going to talk about the rest of the show, but it was on a pace for the first half of that show to be like an all-time WrestleMania. Night 2 was on a terrific pace,
dude,
and then it just ran out of gas.
Honest to God, what a banger. And I almost hit up our wrestling group, and I'm so glad I didn't. I was gonna say, like, at the time, like when I was getting ready to send out this like DM, I was about to say, man, this has got the works of like a top 3 WrestleMania right now, just the way it started. It started out so heavy, unpredictable, and it just hit. The finishes were hitting good, and then it was just like that balloon just got let out, and it just. Johnny, let me hear your
let's get Johnny's
voice.
thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. I thought that night 2 came out with a roar. It came out with so much energy. The crowd seemed like a lot better than it was from night 1 to night 2. Everything was going really well. I thoroughly enjoyed it from match to match, and then it started kind of like going a little bit downhill from a certain point. The whole thing, I'm going to get into the whole Cena and Rhodes match here in a second, but not a lot of people are talking about the whole thing with Bayley being kind of pushed out of her own match. There might be a thing where maybe Bayley was saying, okay, she's one of my friends, Becky Lynch. There was a lot of people who were kind of like pissed off. The locker room was actually kind of pissed off that they did that, because there was a build up to that match with Bayley, not with Becky Lynch. So I think, that kind of like, you could have seen the writing on the wall with Becky Lynch being that mystery partner. But onto this Cena and Rhodes match, it just felt very predictable to me. It didn't have any like type of it was missing it was missing a lot of things, and they fumbled a lot of things with it. This crowd of WWE keeps on saying Tony fumbled. Triple H fumbled here. The Rock fumbled here. This was a bad main event for sure. They fumbled this really bad. And you can't say otherwise. If you tell me that was a great match, you haven't been watching wrestling for a very long time, or you're one of them marks of WWE that just say, "What are you talking about? This was great." And stuff. No, I've seen wrestling matches that they do the storyline right. They do everything according to plan. This was not according to plan, and it was very poorly done. Didn't like it at all. I don't care if John Cena won. I do like John Cena. And yeah, HBK is gold. I like John Cena. He is he deserves it. He's been doing this for such a long time. Yes, he is up to that age, but so was Ric Flair when he was winning titles, and
he was older.
He was older. Yeah. So I just think that if you didn't watch John Cena or not, whatever, I think everybody, Dougie, you called it. Everybody knew that was going to happen. He was going to be the champion. I think even Triple H spoiled it for a lot of people as well too, from what I heard from the internets saying that he did on one of their pregame shows or something like that. But it just it was poorly done, and I wish that they would have done it a different way, because it was so good leading up to it. Like, I was waiting for this match as well too. I thought I wasn't, but when I'm like, you know what? I'm really looking forward to night 2. I'm really looking forward to this match because I like the way that they set it up with The Rock, and nobody didn't think he was going to ever turn heel. And I'm just like, damn. The one thing I would say, another thing too, that they fumbled, he should have came out with Thugonomics instead of his old
dude. Absolutely.
I think that would have been. I like the whole black thing. I like that part. But if they came with Thugonomics, I'm like, damn, that would have fucked even more.
That would have hit, not to interrupt you, Baloney, but the other thing that was totally brutal is like the one guy, like a total black screen, and you got some guy fucking running, like getting the
in the scene. With the rope.
Dude, it was terrible. Yeah, dude. Like, with man.
Like the cables or
whatever. This is the main event, man. Like, get your white ass off screen.
The ending and everything else, Johnny, like you mentioned, it seemed like a lot of half measures. Even with like the Cena outfit, like I do like the all black. I like that he was serious, but like he couldn't have gone with black jeans or black jean shorts, if you will. And then like I understand he's like a merch god, so you got the Vegas shirt with all of the colors. It would have been better if he just commits to the bit, and that's where it's like he's the GOAT. I understand that. But even at the end, even with Travis Scott, it just feels like Cena's not committing to the bit 100%. Because there's times where he's nodding at people in the audience or like smiling and different things. And I'm like, if you're going to go full heel of the century, you just got to commit and go all out. And that's where the main event felt flat. I mean, John Nava's in the comments and he says, I feel when Dwayne came back, it threw it into a creative flux. When he's not there, they have to go in a different direction. They've been doing that with him for the better part of 2 years now. And that's the problem.
Even a little bit more than that. Yeah.
They're at the beck and call of The Rock because of his connections with TKO and everything else. And he's part of the board and they gave him more control and stuff like that. But then if you're going to commit, then you have to commit as well. It's not just John Cena doing the heel part. If The Rock's going to put himself in all these dumbass storylines, then you got to at least show up for the biggest night of the year. I understand you're busy. I understand you're making movies and your schedule's crazy. But this is what he is, that is like your baby. If this is your baby, commit.
Yeah, dude, I mean, yeah. That would be like not showing up on set for a movie. That's exactly what it was to me.
Hi, Joey.
Hey, Hermanos, what's up?
This guy said fuck WWE, threw on his AEW hoodie.
Yeah, what a huge move that is.
He's committing to the bit over here. I love it. It's perfect.
The Rock was at home enjoying Easter, and it's true. So we got Joey P. We ranted about the end for a little bit. Joey, what are your initial thoughts?
Initial thoughts, well, very predictable. A lot, I put out, a little teaser out before day 2 started about any predictions. And, a lot of us had, hit the nail right on the head with most of the predictions. But the main event itself was it was a bit underwhelming. I would say, I know Dougie had already mentioned too, after that Becky Lynch match, everything kind of really went down a slippery slope. And there's huge potential. Started off great. I was hyped. I mean, I was live tweeting all the way through, trying to keep myself engaged. And like I said, this WrestleMania for me sucked, with the exception of Dirty Dom winning his IC title, and that's all that matters.
That was good. I like that.
What a finish!
We'll talk about the beginning of the show in a second. But yeah, we're all in a group chat. We're all in a Twitter thread together and stuff like that. I said the beginning of the fight, the crowd was into it. It had the feeling of a big fight feel, and some of the main events typically don't have that. But yeah, it lost steam quickly. And I'm interested to see now, this is really gonna mess up the night after, or the Raw after WrestleMania, because the crowd is gonna be so pissed coming off of that main event that a lot of the times those crowds for the night after and stuff like that, they like to be part of the show, right? They like to interject themselves and stuff. I have a feeling it's gonna be otherworldly how pissed off they're gonna be, and they have a right to be. They're never gonna change. They make so much money nowadays, and the whole event and being spectacle of it being 2 days, but yesterday and today really shows you how better it would be if it was just a one night WrestleMania. Because I could think of 2 spots of Saturday's card that probably could have been better if they were the end of this. And then the beginning, we talked about, even if it's a start at 6, end at 11, and just make it one night again, they're not going to do it, right? The money's there. No. They're never going to go back. But
man,
it just feels like they have to figure out at least, the Rock situation of it all.
I mean,
I want to say something. I want to say something real quick, because talking about the bit about John Cena. Did you see what was the one thing that they put up there before his match was those drumstick commercial, and he was being it felt like the old John Cena. He was smiling, he was being a part of the commercial. I'm not saying that he can't do commercials, but when Hogan turned heel, that was when that was it. He committed to the bit. He was being a complete asshole. And I know this whole thing about his time with the Make-A-Wish stuff, and I get that and then the merchandise as well too. He gets money a whole lot from the merchandise, so I get that too. But you could have worked something out for the bit. You know what I'm saying? To make things more believable, and it just seemed like that was the one thing that kind of threw me off before the match was that whole drumstick thing. I know that might not be a big thing for other
it
people,
is,
but it was just a weird timing to put that on there while he's trying to become a heel.
I mean, I will tell you this: he is committing to one bit, the can't see me, because that motherfucker is so pale now. He is almost becoming invisible. I'm telling you, you put that dude up against a white wall, and he's missing. But anyway, I think the thing that made me so upset about that was I was getting so belittled in my house. I'm so used to seeing every storyline, kind of being able to see where shit's going, and when I'm surprised, it feels good. The Travis Scott getting up there, I'm oh shit, I'm they're running back to Mike Tyson. They're running back to Mike Tyson. He's gonna turn on Cena here, or something like that. The way that whole thing was played, Travis Scott, I don't know what his whole obviously it was a payday for him. But what is the benefit on the WWE side of having Travis Scott there? Because it's been 2 interactions now that have been total dog shit. A1, you got one of your main guys with a like legit shiner the first time he was in there because Travis Scott doesn't know how to throw a punch. And then supposedly he's been training and doing this whole wrestling shit and everything like that. And he gets in there today and he looked probably just as worse as he did the last time he was in the ring.
So the whole Travis Scott thing about hitting him like really hard, that actually was The Rock that told him to hit him as hard as he can. And it was like, are you sure? And stuff like that. Cody was okay with the hit. He didn't really like it. Didn't really like bug him or anything like that. I know that, you know, you're supposed to do the whole wrestling punch and stuff like that, but he told him, Rock specifically told Travis Scott to hit him as hard. Now, the whole Travis Scott thing, they could have made a lot better. I think, again, they fumbled that as well, too. They fumbled everything about this whole match. I just didn't not like the way that they set everything up. Like, you could have done things a lot differently. And again, it's just like, it's terrible.
Yeah, we got to find out who the agent of the match was who laid it out.
Yeah, who laid that shit out. But the one thing I do want to point out, and I want you guys to go back and take a look, when they started doing the promos for the last 2 days of this whole Rock thing, every time they showed that Cena moment where like he did that like cutthroat and was like 2, they cut out. You don't see him going 2 anymore. You just see this, and they don't show that anymore. So everything that we thought, you know, it was like that 3-2-1 type thing to where, you know, Cena was number 2 and there should have been another person. There was obviously something happened, dude. Like, there's no way like this was the best writing, and this is what happened. I feel like shit was going south for WrestleMania weekend, like left and right. Ciampa had to fucking shave off his beard because apparently he fell and hit his chin and had to get stitches. Yeah. I mean, stuff was going south a lot this whole weekend. I just gotta believe that something went wrong last minute. Rock missed a flight from Maui or something. Something happened.
He's got private jets. He was never gonna be there. That's the problem.
Something was downed. I have no idea. Like, he didn't pass TSA, didn't have his pre-check or something. Something happened. Because
so
WWE got their own plane.
Yeah.
They don't
I want to
have
get
their
to the
own
rest of the
security.
card. We're going to get to the rest of the card. We can circle back to the main event in a second. But Irv is in the comments. He's saying Cody's good. He's just not the guy. WWE is showing they can't make a main event guy. I will say, I like Cody. I've always liked Cody. I really like Cody. When he left WWE, he, you know, built himself back up, and I thought him coming back was an epic moment. I thought the chase of him getting to the main event title has been better than his title reign. But that, I feel like, is the case with a lot of people, and especially a lot of underdogs. We could say the same thing about Daniel Bryan's title reigns, or
Kofi,
Kingston, or Big E, or any of the guys that like even the Summer of Punk, even when Punk finally got his belt and ran off with it, once he came back, I felt like that chase was over. And yeah, I think like this last year of Cody Rhodes, he's great on the mic. He's great in interviews. He's got the suits. He does all the media. I think there are huge ways where it benefits the company. But in these main events, I feel like Irv is kind of right. I think the best work of his has been with Kevin Owens, and that felt like too short-lived.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you guys think about like Cody's reign, or like at least year-long reign up until today?
I mean, I think with Cody, I felt like when he did come back, I mean, that was the whole build-up where he was going to be a champion. I mean, the writing was on the wall. Like the whole storyline with, you know, his dad not getting a championship when he was in WWE. Obviously, his brother was a world heavyweight champion. But I just think that I did like how he transformed himself to being, and I mean that as a pun, because I know you saw that transforming hat.
That,
that happened here,
that was
but
pretty dope. That was pretty dope.
but I think the one thing about it is that yes, I did like the way that he turned his career around. Everything that he did into the indies when he was in ROH, New Japan. Obviously he helped build up a AEW as well too, and the fans turned on him afterwards. You know, I don't. Again, I think Cody is a great wrestler, a great entertainer, a great businessman as well too. So he knows like the ropes, like in and out when it comes to the industry and all that. I think when I was looking at that match with John Cena, I think I agree with that as well too. Is that there's something about Cody Rhodes that doesn't say main event, you know? And I'm not saying he can't main event like a SummerSlam or something like that. It just, I don't know. It's just something about it with him that I just can't be like, all right. I don't know. I just, and it's not none of his fault either. It's just the way that they book him. You know, it's just the way that they put that they put that storyline so terribly. That was like the only thing too. And I feel bad for him. I do feel bad for Cody because they kind of put him in the trenches of this, and it just didn't go the way it was supposed to be.
I mean, Ted's in the comments. We talked about it earlier. It's like at this point, I understand The Rock draws numbers, but he's hampering your product and he's handcuffing you storyline wise when like he's just not there all the time. Right. So that's a problem. To circle back to Johnny's point about Cody, it's tough because you're in, it's day 2 of May. Everyone's expecting a huge, big blow off for Cena and Cody. And like you mentioned, like the 3 guys in the main event of Saturday still feel like bigger. They don't need a belt to feel like bigger stars than Cody Rhodes, right? The Punk, Seth, and Roman thing. There was no belt involved, but the stakes were so high that felt like something. And and I thought that delivered. Of all the things and all the problems of night 1, that main event was awesome. You put that main event in this spot, and we might be talking about an all-time WrestleMania, or at least day 2. You know,
I was just gonna say we probably wouldn't even be podcasting right now.
No, we'd be all
right.
We wouldn't be venting.
Yeah.
Right, but I think about the whole Cody thing just briefly. I'll just touch on it. I think Cody's fine. I think he's going to be okay. He does numbers, merch sales and all that. So I think he's going to be just fine. And obviously the booking and the creative is the only thing that is going to be crucial, not only for him. I'm more excited for Cena's. I tweeted this out. This is the most exciting title run of 17 for John Cena to me, because we haven't really seen a John Cena heel world champion before, right? So I want to see how they book this.
And there's so many ways you go about it, right? I think we're all expecting one last Punk versus Cena, storyline, and you could say that with a bunch of people. So while I don't like how they got there tonight, I am excited about the rest of the year and what Cena could do with that title reign with a bunch of different storylines.
The farewell tour.
I mean, obviously, tonight they're already booking Cena through October of next year, because October of next year is like Australia or something that they announced, and it's going to be like a Cena something. So I could totally see him losing it next year. And go ahead and clip this right now. Losing it next year, night 2 of Royal Rumble, because if they can't get fucking WrestleMania right for 2 nights, how the hell are they going to build up Royal Rumble for 2 nights? That is the big thing. Anybody that is excited about having 2 nights of Royal Rumble, look what they did and how they shit the bed on night 2 of WrestleMania. If you can't get your grandest show on stage right, like you're fucked. But anyway, just to double back a little bit on what Johnny was saying, this run for Cody, I feel, has been very lackluster, and I feel like it's not necessarily his fault. I feel like the lack of heel power that he's been put up against. Like you were saying that Kevin Owens, like why they shifted off of that so fast. I have no idea, because that could have been a really, really great storyline. I don't know where they were going with that. Into Joey's fact, how they got to run this Cena, how they run this next like Cena championship, they need to do just dirty win after dirty win. Like he can't win clean. I don't want to see him win one clean match the rest of his title reign. It's just got to be dirty, like total heel. They got to lean real hard
Chicken
into the
shit.
heel.
Chicken
Exactly.
shit tactics.
Exactly. Like I ain't losing, and the way that I would like to see them build up, and I feel like this is where they kind of maybe drop the ball, is, they were saying, oh yeah, this is our last, his last WrestleMania and everything like that. I want him, like, they've already set the precedence that like this was his last WrestleMania match, meaning like he's not going to make it to WrestleMania next year. So he needs to go Monday night, tomorrow night, super hard into, well, that was going to be my last WrestleMania, but now I'm, now I'm in until
they could retcon that real easy, especially as a heel. Now that he's a heel, he's like, I'm going to do this for another 3 years. Who cares?
Right. But see, that's how he has to lean into it. Like if they don't lean into it, and I'm not saying right out of the gates, but they got to do it kind of fast, like just so it builds it up. I'd love to see that. So we'll see where they go with it. There's a lot of variables.
All right, let's go card by or match by match, at least for night 2. Because it was, I think we all are in agreement, it was building up to being like an all-time WrestleMania.
Absolutely.
Up until Stone Cold crashed into that lady. Maybe that was the downhill effect.
That Logan Paul
match.
I'm not gonna we'll get into the Logan Paul match.
Yeah. All right. So let's start off. It started off with the Io Bianca Rhea match. I thought that was a hell of a match to start off with. I think we're all in agreement there. I did not expect Io Sky to win, but I do like that this is how you book, and it legitimizes her now. Because she's been really good for a really long time, but she's been in the back burner. She's been on the back burner compared to Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair, right? But she's got all the tools. She wrestles her ass off, and that finish, I said that finish was awesome. It was a really cool way for her to retain. What'd you guys think about that?
Well, I just want to go ahead and throw Brian S. underneath the bus, because right out of the gates, he was like, she's just in this match to be the pinfall person.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So,
clip it.
No, I mean, dude, honestly, yeah. I was completely shocked. And that's the beauty of good writing, is when you leave like somebody like myself that has been watching wrestling for 35 plus years, when you've watched as much wrestling as I have, and then you're like, shit, I didn't see that coming. That's what every writer should like aspire, not every day, like you lead the big time wrestling fan on a little bit, but like on a night like tonight, WrestleMania, I don't know how you guys felt, but like neither me or Mary were like, she's not leaving here champion. We had a discussion. We're like, who's going to win the championship tonight? Is it going to be Bianca or is it going to be Rhea Ripley? And that was like the back and forth between us. She wasn't even in the conversation. And then when she wins, kiss the chef.
Yeah, you don't like to have that predictability every single match. I think that's like the one thing that you're right. I did not think she was going to win at all. Mm-hmm. I would have thought that either Bianca or Rhea would have won, either or. So I'm kind of I kind of agree with Brian S. on that. But the crowd felt it. The crowd, like, you have to give the people what they want. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, they gave the people what they want, and she's a great wrestler. She won, great finish. That whole triple threat match was really good as well too, and that was a great opening to to could have been like, again, a great night in WrestleMania history. And I'm not like, and that's the one thing too, is like, you can't take away from those type of matches. Like, you know, they did really well. They hit the spot on that one. And I loved everything about that match. So kudos to them for a really good rematch. That was a very good start to WrestleMania night too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then,
I-
so go ahead, Joe.
No, I was just gonna briefly say that Dougie, you talked about, you know, the writers.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make sure you're starting off both nights with a banger.
Yeah.
Okay, they did it. Kudos to the women that led off tonight, because they had the match of the night, in my opinion. And for the record, I was Team EO, but I put that out there during as soon as the match started. But I didn't expect her to win. I was just saying I'm supporting her. I want her to win.
This guy's over here placing bets after the match already happened.
Yeah.
Brother Peter.
No, yeah. So from there, they go to Drew versus Priest, and I thought this could have been a good match because it was going to be, you know, a hardcore match or a Vegas street fight, or what is it, Sin City street fight, whatever they call it. It's always
this fight. There's two matches that I absolutely hate. It's a street fight, and I hate a lumberjack match. Two matches. I don't give a shit
the lumberjack
about.
matches are not good.
Okay.
The street fights, I don't mind all that bad. And I thought this delivered. I think these two guys beat the hell out of each other. That's what was to be expected. You had the funny moment with the selfie. So Drew takes a selfie again and posts it right away. Credit to that guy, his handler or his, you know, whoever's, you know, he had the tweet up and ready, because you could tell he grabs the phone and like Twitter was already ready. So he just takes the picture, and like that picture was online before I could see that happened. I was like, holy shit, they did a really good job with that. It was like 56 seconds ago. I was like, damn.
Yeah, bored at work again.
Yeah.
So classic, dude.
So I didn't mind the match, but again, the stipulation about the whole thing was it was supposed to be a street fight. There was no crowd, like going into the crowd, going into the backstage. Like, if you're gonna call it a street fight, make it a street fight. That was just a regular match.
Sure.
There was nothing to that match that was saying that was a street fight. Don't get me wrong, I thought the match was good, but if you're gonna call it a street match, make it a street match. And that was not what it was. So, but yes, I didn't like that match as well too. I thought they did put a good show, and also with the Razor's Edge as well too.
The Razor's Edge.
I thought that was pretty good. Yeah, always like the nostalgic, classic, old school move. So that was.
I like the Claymore with the chair like wedged in between the turnbuckle. That looked nasty, and you could tell like he got more chair than head, rightfully so. But like those are the moves that, like, in a hardcore match, you know, when they just look bad, those are really good. Joey, what'd you think?
No, I thought that they did pretty well. They cashed in on all their big spots that they had planned for that match. And yeah, I can't wait to crush Gordo's skull in Lot B, because he already signed up for that chair spot.
He said he's down for the chair spot. That's what he said.
I did forget one thing, because I thought it was a fucking cool ass entrance. Is Kerry King from Slayer on the guitar?
Awesome.
That was a good fucking entrance, man. I thought that was good. I thought the whole Slayer was gonna come. I was like, holy shit! I was all like, pumped up and I was excited. I was like, hell yeah! And it was just him, but I still loved it. It was still a great entrance overall.
It was a good entrance.
That messed me up so many times during WrestleMania, were those fan seats that are on the stage. I don't know if you guys saw those.
There was fan seats on the stage, and then on top of the Titantron.
That
was fucking crazy too.
I don't even want to know how much those seats were. But yeah, to Johnny's point or whatever, like, dude, he's over there wailing on the guitar, and I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, fucking Slayer's here. Because I see the people in the background, and I'm like, the fuck? I'm like, do they have a whole chorus back there? I'm like, oh, they're gonna do some new shit, you know? Like, I got excited, and then I was like, oh, it's just fans. And
I'm always interested to see, like, I got to go back and do research on like people that bring in bands for WrestleMania.
Oh, what the record
It's
is?
a losing record. It's a losing record for sure. Because you saw Punk did it night 1.
Okay.
He lost. Drew did it night 2. He lost. I know there's a couple other times that I can remember where the only one I remember that won was Rhea Ripley last year or 2 years ago.
With Motionless in White.
Yeah. But I feel like bands have a losing record at WrestleMania.
Okay.
So if you want to win, don't bring a band with you.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, don't bring a band.
Here?
Yeah, don't bring a band.
I'm trying to think the WrestleMania that was at the Allstate. I think it was POD did Rey Mysterio's entrance.
Yep,
but
I was there.
Yeah.
Did he win?
Lost.
He won.
Yeah, see?
Did he win?
POD. He won?
That's
now we're
when he
getting
beat Kurt Angle
conflicting
for the
reports.
Oh, that is when he
beat
yeah,
Kurt
you're
Angle
right.
for
You're
the
right.
World Heavyweight Championship.
Yep.
That's epic.
All right. Yeah. One last tweet I saw that was pretty funny. It was from our guy, Robbie Fox. He said the same thing. It didn't feel like a street fight, or it didn't feel like to make it a street fight, somebody's got to be wearing jeans. And I feel like, yes, this is true.
Yeah.
Like
Knuckles taped.
Yeah, knuckles taped. Somebody's got to be wearing jeans.
Right.
That's where.
It's like having a ladder match without having no ladder. You know,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
why
Just call
even
it a
call it
hardcore
that?
match.
Was
Yeah,
there?
it was
Was
that.
it?
It wasn't even that either. I mean, there
Yeah.
was just that was not a street fight, and they should have never called it that.
Yeah. I don't know.
Before we get to the next match, because I know this is one we're all very excited about. I did talk to, so I was at Jason's for night 1, and we talked about night 1 having like a little bit of a letdown feel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shocked. Like there should be a rule at this point or a law. There has to be a ladder match at WrestleMania. I don't care if it's night 1 or night 2. Like why was there not a ladder match? That's got to be tradition at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
It was
before
the Money in Bank.
before Money in the Bank was like its own pay-per-view, which rightfully so. You know, I mean, that match stole the show a lot of nights. Yeah, I mean, there literally should just be, there has to be some type of stipulations, something.
All right. And then we came up with an idea, and I kind of want to get you guys' thoughts on it. You guys, obviously, we're all wrestling fans. People in the comments talk about this too. Obviously, Priest cashed in the Money in the Bank a while ago, so there's no briefcase floating around. And I understand it's a once a year pay-per-view, but at this point, the briefcase feels like such a it's always hanging in people's heads. The cash in makes you believe in something. I said, as soon as someone cashes in, the next Raw or the next pay-per-view, there should be another Money in the Bank. The Money in the Bank briefcase should always be in rotation year round.
I love that.
I agree with that.
That's fucking great. I like that idea.
Let us book for a while.
Well, I mean, look what it did with Seth Rollins.
Yeah,
that was a very good
God.
main event,
Yeah.
and they planned that perfectly. The way that they,
Yeah.
the way that Seth pinned Brock Lesnar, like that was well done, and that I like that idea. Actually, that was good.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
You and Jason.
That was probably the best cash in of all time, right?
That one I also said.
I love the Punk one. Dolph Ziggler was a good one too.
That was a good
Ziggler
one.
was
I
good.
think that was a huge pop when he came out.
The Ziggler one was good. The Punk one was good. And then, yes, Rollins. Dude, at this point, Rollins, I know obviously it's going to be sacrilegious what I'm about to say. And I don't believe it because Shawn Michaels is Mr. WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
But Seth Rollins is coming in with a resume of all-time WrestleMania moments. He's got the cash in. He's got the Paul Heyman swerve, and then even the RKO where he was on the receiving end of the Randy Orton RKO. That RKO is probably the best RKO of all time. Like he's building up a resume of like all-time Mania moments.
Yeah,
he's building a legacy for himself. That's for damn sure.
Yeah,
and huge Bears fan.
Bears fan. Yeah,
Huge Bears fan.
Loves Bears.
Football.
Hates football.
love Bears. Love Bears. Hates football. That's a good way to put it. All right, let's get to the highlight of the night. I think we're all in agreement on this as well. The Intercontinental Fatal 4-Way between Penta, El Cero Miedo, Finn Balor, our guy Dom Mysterio, and the Steiner's kid. Was it Braun Breaker? Stole the show. Stole the show. I love that match. We could talk about the finish, but I knew from the beginning that had the chance of stealing the show just because Braun Breaker is like a freak, man. Like his
Yeah.
the spear that he had like 2 weeks ago
Oh my god,
was
on Carlito.
unbelievable. Yeah, on Carlito. That thing was so crazy. And he just has a penchant for just stealing the show like that. And then, like, obviously Finn, Dom, and Penta are all really, really good. I knew this was gonna deliver, but that ending, like you mentioned, Dougie, that was chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Brian S asked us to do predictions in our chat, and I did.
I did not.
I've been an all-time Dom Mysterio guy from Jump Street. I'm gonna say it right now. I've been a number one Dom Mysterio guy, and even I didn't predict him winning. I had Braun Breaker retaining because I thought they were building him up to be a huge star. But that's where the unpredictability, and that's where us as wrestling fans, that's what we love when you don't see it coming. And when he fucking won the belt, that was a highlight of the weekend for me.
Fucking right, dude. You know what? The last time that I saw somebody win a title like that, IC wise, it was also WrestleMania when fucking Zack Ryder won in that ladder match. Nobody saw that shit coming. Like, you know, like they pull up the frame and Zack Ryder's going up the fucking ladder, and you're like, okay, like who's gonna take him out? You know, and then all of a sudden when you click that back, I was like, oh shit, he won. You know, like it was one of those moments. That was probably the last time that like I was super surprised about an IC championship. I at the beginning, not a big Dom Mysterio guy, not at all. He was terrible. He was garbage. And you could go, dude, go back. His early shit was real bad, like Miz bad. But he leaned into that heel stuff, and tonight was one of my funniest moments. Me and Mary were laughing. Madison Fresh looks at us and she's like, why are they cheering for him? Like, she doesn't understand the difference between a WrestleMania crowd, which is predominantly heel, you know, like WrestleMania crowds
Marks.
and
It's
like,
exactly, smart marks or whatever.
Exactly. And that's, you know, to what you were saying earlier about like the Monday after WrestleMania, people turn heel, people turn face off of these crowds. Like it just happens because these crowds take over shit. And when she heard them cheering for him winning, she was so damn confused. It made my night. Absolutely made my night. She's just sitting there and she's like, but like, usually you can't even hear what he's saying because they're booing so loud. I'm like, WrestleMania.
First of all, Peter, I like the way when you were mentioning all these wrestling names in this matchup, and then you came to Braun Breaker. You named him Steiner's kid, like if he was in a little league team. It's like, yeah, you don't know Steiner's kid, you know. No, he plays center field. He plays center field in that little league team over there.
I'm gonna be honest, Johnny. They messed up not calling him Steiner from the beginning.
Yeah.
I understand you want to build his own legacy, and NXT has a history of just messing up names to begin with.
Yeah,
but everyone knows he's Steiner's kid, and then he comes out with the singlet. He did the Steiner math promo.
Dude, that was
in Vegas
awesome.
this week.
Dude.
Like, just change Braun Steiner. Do whatever you have to do. Just call him Steiner.
But anyways, I'm glad that Peso Puma he won. I'm very happy that he won that match. That was great. I think IC matches used to have a nostalgia to them because they were the matches, or they were going to be the pinnacle of what you were going to become if you would become a world heavyweight champion, depending on who they were going to pick. And I just feel, you know, Penta, he's just barely fresh coming into WWE. Finn Balor's been there for a while. I think to a point, I kind of feel bad for Finn Balor because he at one point was a WWE champion, had to relinquish it because he got injured by Seth Rollins, and look kind of where he's at right now. He still has a amazing career, but I felt like they kind of fumbled him as well too. And then Braun, you know, I just feel like he's going to be the guy. He's going to be a world heavyweight champion in the future. You could see that clearly. He's got the look. He's got the wrestling moves down. obviously he has a family background as well too. So I feel like Braun's going to be there when he gets that shot in the future. But Dom, Dom has that I think similar thing with Miz. Dougie, I think you called that right. I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, he's just Mysterio's kid and stuff like that," and he's just getting that Charlotte Flair or like Braun Breaker and stuff like that. Like anybody who was their father was
Nepo
there
babies.
before him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Randy
As
Orton.
much as like if you don't like the way he wrestles or he might take some moves from obviously from Eddie Guerrero, and he used to love Eddie, and
No, it's his
obviously
dad.
from his father as well too. Yeah,
It
we don't
is.
know that. We don't know that, but I think the character of Dom himself, he has done a very, very good job of becoming heel. He gets a ton of boos when he first came out as a heel, and I think everybody likes that part of him, that he can be also a baby face when that time comes.
I think it's here.
But look at the way he celebrated when he got that title, and then he went back to the ring and was celebrating even more.
I wanted to mention that.
I'm like, good for him. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Like wrestlers should do that more, because he's not only he wants to prove it that, hey, I could do this. I could be my own guy. I don't have to have the luchador mask like my dad or carry that. I could do my own path and be a lot better. And he's doing that. He's on the right path, and I think for him winning the title was great. He deserves it, and I'm very interested to see what he does moving forward here.
So I'm giggling a little bit because because of your comment or whatever. Joey, you're gonna love this little Mija. she as soon as that happens, he goes back in the ring. She just goes, Rey Mysterio's not gonna like this.
No, I'm sure he probably looked. Dom probably looked up to the suite that his dad was in, clapping, and he probably did that.
Real dad.
Yeah. Well, from the clouds, Eddie was pointing, "Get back in there and get your moment, son."
Yeah.
Which he did, which was lovely. I mean, yeah, when Dom really, really went and turned heel after he turned on his dad and broke up that tag team, the whole going to jail thing is what hook, line, and sinker got me in. Like Peter, like you said, I've been a Dirty Dom stan ever since. That was some of the best heel material during that era, a couple of years ago now. But it's great to see a character actually evolve and work out pretty well. And we're seeing it now because we were all cheering for him to win. I think it was pretty unanimous because you saw how the fans reacted. I got a poll still going right now, and it's still like 70% in favor of fans more excited about Dom winning a title over Jey Uso.
Yeah. Yeah. That Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, that Thanksgiving dinner. Yeah, dude, that's where I want to give credit to Dom is you could say the Nepo stuff, and you could say like he was given an opportunity. He didn't earn it. But ever since he got that opportunity, he took it and ran with it, man.
Yeah,
like he gets it. He gets the business. He understands how to fucking pick at a crowd even more. It's the comments. It's the little, there's times, man, where when he was with Liv Morgan and like the little like mannerisms, just the ways he smirks, or like when he's scared, he's super scared. Like,
oh yeah,
just like the little things.
Chicken shit.
Yeah, the chicken shit stuff. And that's where like we had a conversation with Brian Ents when we used to do the playbacks, because at the time they came up obviously different brands, but like, we had a conversation about Dom Mysterio and Hook, Taz's kid. And at the time everyone thought Hook was gonna be, like lights out. He had the look, and like he's in shape, and he's got the chops to wrestle and stuff like that. And he's been treading water. Now with the ops, it seems like he's finally getting a little bit of, run. But for the longest time, he's been treading water in AEW. And Dom Mysterio is legitimately a top 2 heel in the business. Even his stuff outside of the ring, even his stuff in media. when he's on TikTok and if he's on like a late night show or something like that. He just gets it.
Yeah.
Well, I think with Hook is that he doesn't talk. Like there's no like personality with him.
Yeah.
So I think that's why that kind of turns like the fan off, is that, you know, hey, he could wrestle. I love his entrance. Like I love his entrance, like
one
Hook's
of the
entrance.
best.
Yeah. I mean, I Extra Bronson, I love it, but he just doesn't talk. And I don't think that's his fault either. Like I said, that's the creative team at AEW that can't figure out what to do with the wrestler. So that's something that they have to figure out. And if it comes from whoever, it just has to be a lightning in the battle for a wrestler, because that's what that stuff happens. You know, that's what.
Yeah.
Remember how people used to hate Cena? They used to hate Cena. They never liked them. And then it was a one time where Stephanie was listening to John Cena just rapping and says, "How come you don't do that, like, you know, in the ring, like during your promos?"
Yeah.
Guess what? That totally changed his persona, his personality, and became what is now a 17-time world champion. So there has to be something that Hook could, you know, be like, hey, like, what is something that you can show to people that's going to be like, I'm going to be like into this. I'm going to be like, you know, literally hooked into like your wrestling persona. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
It's either that or he has to have a mouthpiece next to him. And it should be his dad, honestly.
Yeah. I don't know why. Yeah, they haven't done that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Brock Lesnar or Paul Heyman.
Exactly.
Pretty much what it is.
Same exact formula.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't mean to turn this into an AW show, even though Joey's got the hoodie on. We got a couple more matches to get through, and I'm kind of glad you did this. Dougie, this was a good idea, because we got the Bumcast tomorrow night. We got Gas Money Bob coming on. We're gonna be sports heavy. We probably would have talked a little bit WrestleMania, but definitely not 51 minutes and change, especially what we're going. So that was a good call by you, Dougie.
No, I'm ready to go for another Iron Man match back to back. Nobody's been pinfalled. Let's go.
Love it. Oh, you know what? We might as well make this as long as the fucking Hall of Fame speeches, because I stayed up like a dumbass until 3:30 in the morning.
How about it, man?
I couldn't stay up.
Sunday or Saturday.
Yeah.
I had to work,
Dude,
and I still stayed up. You guys were tweeting, and I'm like, I'm staying up anyway. And I freaking Triple H is there for an hour and 7 minutes talking about some diner with the X-Pac. I'm like, shut the fuck up and get to the good stuff.
Hey,
So yeah,
so I gotta ask you, do you think everybody was trolling Triple H when they were like, "Oh, all I got is 2 minutes"? Like, I feel like that's what it was. It was a total troll job, because like everybody was like, "Oh, they're giving me 2 minutes. They're giving me 2 minutes." They're like, it just got repetitive. Like,
every
you know,
speech
like
you heard
2
that.
minutes, 2 minutes.
Yeah,
2 minutes.
Punk mentioned it a couple of times, like right in the beginning too.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Dougie?
Me?
I thought you had something to say about right before we wrapped up Dom. All right, let's get to the next match.
No. I was just gonna say about Dom. I don't know if I've ever seen a wrestler get so much heat as he's gotten. I really can't think of one, but I've never ever seen a wrestler be heel and then turn and become even more heel. Like, that was innovative. Dude, like, I've never ever seen
Double
that
down?
in my life. Double down on the heelness. Like, dude, with that turn on Ripley, like, dude, I've never seen shit like that before. And that's the little shit that, like, is making him into himself. You know, like the little niches that are like credit to Dirty Dom. So,
All right, so here's a question. He's gonna get cheered up the ass on Monday because we talked about the crowd during the night after WrestleMania being a smart mark crowd. They're gonna love him.
Yeah.
After that, does he continue to get booed, or do you have to kind of turn him? Because this, I don't want to compare to like a legend, but this has the feeling of a Stone Cold after the King of the Ring.
King of the Ring.
So like there's a feel there to where it's like, do you make him an anti-hero or kind of a tweener and let him run with it? Because he's shown that he could be the best heel and one of the best heels in the business, with or without a title. He would, at some points, he's not even chasing a belt, and he's still like a really good heel. Now that he's got the IC title, do you still keep him a heel, or you start turning him? Because the crowd is eating it up either way.
you could keep the whole storyline of him being heel. You don't have to change anything because the fans are going to make up their mind regardless of if you put him as a babyface or a heel. He's going to get cheered regardless. You know, you could have him be like MJF heel, and they're probably going to be like, yeah, you know, this is what we want. This is, you know, so I don't think it really makes a difference if they do change it. We're thinking alike about this whole thing. Stone Cold, that's who I felt like after the day after the King of the Ring or the day after WrestleMania, you know, that happens with a lot of heels. They're like, man, I fucking love this heel. He's awesome. Like, you know, I don't want to keep on bringing up MJF, but when MJF like was like the heel, he was like doing everything nonstop. I'm like, dude, this guy. Yes, I mean, and that's where I kind of feel like Dom is getting to a point in his career where, like, wow. And I think even Dom even recognized it in the match where I'm like, all these people are cheering. Even the announcers were saying this is like, whoa, this is like not expected, you know, and just like so. You got to go with the people. Like, I mean, that's like another thing. You have to listen to the people when it comes to wrestling, because that's who is paying attention. And that's, I mean, obviously we're all paying attention, but that's who is going to control whether or not, you know, if this is going to be the next, like, I'm not saying, you know, I'm going to, you know, I'm talking like Peter now, like he's going to be like the next Brock Lesnar. He's going to be like the next, like Chris Jericho or anything like that. But who knows where this guy's career is going to go, you know? And I think that, you know, it is a wrestler who I think that can go very far, regardless if he's a heel or a babyface.
I know exactly where Joey's going with this. I think you nailed it on the head. Chris Jericho, great fucking call on that, Johnny.
Yep.
This is where you go with it, because Chris Jericho was like always an asshole. He was always an asshole, but like he just got the crowd with it, and that's what they have to do with Dom Mysterio, is because if the crowd does start embracing him, then you kind of lose the luster of him, because I don't think he'll be a good babyface. You know, I really don't.
We don't know that yet. We don't know that.
We don't know that. We don't know that. But he bases his whole character off of being really good at wrestling, but not being able to finish the match, but finishing the match in a cheap way, you know? So they really could lean into his dad's persona, Eddie Guerrero, in Lie, Cheat, and Steal.
Yeah, he's been doing that already.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
you know,
I got the looks.
There's an easy way, and I've always thought about this for Dom, and we're getting to the point where we don't know how many years Ray has left, right? Mm-hmm. But especially like if, well, just in the ring, you son of a bitch. But
sorry, we're talking about Jerry.
Say he's a tweener. Obviously, the Judgment Day turns on him or something. You know.
Yeah.
I feel like there's gotta be a moment, and it's gonna be fireworks and tears when Ray and Dom finally make up. Right? Say like Ray's getting his ass. If Ray's getting his ass beat and Dom comes in to make the save, I swear to God, there might not be a dry eye in the house. I'm going to be crying because I'm
it's
like,
going to be Macho and Elizabeth all over again in WrestleMania.
Yes,
like that could be like Dom's
that kind of moment.
Not Dom, like Rey Mysterio's like last match, and he comes in, and they're like beating, like especially with the whole thing with the WWE buying AAA. You know, that could be like a storyline on its own as well too. Like, but. I agree. It's just all how you book somebody, and right now they're booking Dom very well.
I have a thought on that though.
For Joey to hook us up with tickets now that they bought AAA.
Yeah, I got him. I'm in the bag, baby. Now, one thing I'm not 100% convinced on booking right now. Booking across wrestling is crazy.
Well, who could be after tonight?
I fear tomorrow night you have another you have an instant rematch with Braun Breaker, and you got another Kofi and Brock tomorrow.
Dude, I fear that. That's how Zack Ryder lost, right?
Ryder,
he lost.
Yeah.
I feel like they wanted to give Dom the moment, give the fans a little bit of what they want, but he's you never know. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I want to see where this goes.
Or now Finn cost him.
Yes.
Joey is always a vibes guy, and he just brought this whole room.
Yeah, what
down.
a buzzkill!
Man.
We literally. I'm looking at the clock right now. We literally like waxed poetic about Dom Mysterio for like 15, 20 minutes, and now this guy, he's losing the belt tomorrow.
Right. He might have to be our taco. Kick him out.
We're a bunch of heels.
All right, so let's get to the next big surprise after Dom winning the IC title, and that was Randy Orton's opponent. Obviously, everyone was excited for a Kevin Owens, blow off, send off fight, and Kevin Owens got hurt, and that, he's going to be on the show for a while. Orton still wanted his WrestleMania match. This is his 20th WrestleMania, so he's earned everything. And I thought, you saw rumors all over the place, right? People were talking about Aleister Black and Rusev and a bunch of other people. It ends up being Jim Henry's son, Joe Henry. Crowd goes crazy. Yeah. I've always said I don't understand the Joe Henry thing, but maybe he's not for me. Maybe I'm just old. I don't get it. But I think they did about as good of a thing with this is they kept it short and they kept it more funny than anything. There's a sneaky thing about Randy Orton. Randy Orton's always been a great heel, obviously. He's always been a great heel. He's always been great in factions or in groups. But there's like little times when Randy Orton's having fun in the ring or like being funny, he's the best. He needs to do that more often now that he's at the tail end of his career. Because he did the Joe Henry turn with the thing.
Dude, that was so perfect. Funny. You caught little glimpses of that with RK Bro, like when him and God damn, what was his name now?
Riddle.
Yeah, Riddle. Yeah, with Matt Riddle. Like you caught a nice couple of glimpses like of his joking around side and everything like that with that. So I agree. He's gotta like lean into it, be more of a, I don't want to say a gimmick guy at this point, but dude, like that little turnaround with the signature move, that was cool shit. I like that. I was disappointed as fuck with his opponent. They were leading into, at that point, like top 3 WrestleManias at that point, and I was like, I had the tweet out there. I was like, this has got to be good because this night is going great, and I was expecting a big pop, and it was funny, but it was
a big pop.
Yeah. It was a big pop, but it was just funny. Yeah, no, I understand, but it was just funny. It wasn't necessarily like one of those deals to where I was like, holy shit, he's going to be on like Monday Night Raw. Yeah. He's going to be on the roster going forward. That's all it was. It was just a pop and it's over and, whatever. Yeah. I was talking with Mary. I was like, this is a spot where you don't bring back a fucking legend for his last run to, get his severance package or shit like that. I'm like, this has to be like somebody that has either earned his right or you're stealing somebody from somewhere. I thought, like as the rumors were going around, like this is a good moment to like really steal somebody from AEW or something like Wow Factor. And I feel like this was the turn for the night for the worse.
Oh, I don't mean this is where it went downhill for you.
I think this is where like the beginning of the end started for me.
So
okay. I might be crucial, but
I'm not a big Joe Henry fan at all. I don't get the whole bit when he turns around or anything like that. Like it's just no, I don't get it. I don't even think he's a good wrestler. You know what I'm saying? Like I just none of what he does is like. I just don't get it. And, for the people that do, like, okay, great. There's something that you guys see in him that gets that pop because he did get a pop. I'm not going to doubt that he didn't get that pop because he did. A lot of people do like him. Yeah. And yeah, they're not gonna have like some, I don't know, Brock Lesnar come out versus Randy Orton or something like that.
It could have been. It really could have been.
I know,
No, that
but-
would have pissed people off
No,
even
well,
more.
no, I'm
No,
not
but-
saying. I said like he said like. I'm just
Yeah.
saying like a big. Yeah, sorry, John.
Yeah, but I just feel like they probably could have had somebody else. There's other people that are supposed to be coming out the day after WrestleMania or on Raw. That's what always happens. The
Always
day after
does.
WrestleMania, Raw is
Yeah.
always like, the show to watch after because you're going to see a lot more surprises coming on. And I thought that maybe you might have had Rusev come on, maybe
Yeah.
that would have been something that people would have been, but yeah, I think I understand why they probably booked that because they don't want to like have Randy lose, especially that the fact that they had Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton, and that was a whole different story. So they had to do this on the fly. So
Yeah.
as a wrestling fan, I'm not a booker, but I could totally understand why they did what they did. I'm just not gonna pop for a I was gonna say John Henry, for a Joe Henry. So I just don't get the bit.
It was comic relief, in all honesty, to me. That's it. It was. They
Good
had to come
RKO.
up- Yeah,
Great
it was a
RKO.
great.
Yeah,
RKO.
no,
I
yeah.
love the facial expression.
Yeah.
He went from his turnaround smile,
Yeah, oh,
and then in the
Yeah.
camera shot, you see the fear go right
camera
change right in his face when he took the RKO for the finish. But yeah, not a Henry guy. I'm not so much into TNA to even know the rest of his work.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was filling a gap for Randy and just something to push him through and make him look good.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
we've talked a lot about fans and like the fans being part of the show, both on Mania and Raw after Mania and stuff like that. Joe Henry seems like there's nothing more than like wrestling fans love than like an inside joke. And like I feel like this is like the biggest inside joke. It's like, oh yeah, Joe Henry is our guy, but like there's no real rhyme or reason besides the smile and like the entrance and the song and stuff like that. But like I mentioned, I think they did about as good as they could have done given the circumstances and given that this was only like a 10-minute spot, like you don't want to waste an Aleister Black if it's going to be an 8-minute match, at that point you might as well just give it time and stuff like that. But now to where I think it started going downhill, AJ Styles versus Logan Paul.
Yeah.
I was really surprised this was in the spot it was, like, almost, second to last or third to last, but it just never got going. I feel like it never really got going. We've seen Paul work. We've seen Logan Paul have good matches, but most of those have always been in 3 ways, 4 ways, or like Elimination Chamber. There's always like a group surrounding Royal Rumble, different things like that. When he has done like one-on-one matches, it's noticeable that he's not a full-time professional wrestler. The athleticism is there. The big spots are there, but it's all like the little intricacies and little things like, the day-to-day stuff that is missing, and it's noticeable. I really thought AJ Styles was going to be a good dance partner for him. But even AJ Styles, I don't know, maybe it's because of his time off and the injuries, or maybe he's getting up there in age. He looks a step slower than the AJ Styles we used to know.
Yeah.
So this just never worked. It never got going, and it just fell flat.
He's got to cut that hair. I think that's why AJ.
You want the soccer mom hair back? You don't like the long
No,
hair?
not the soccer mom. Remember when TNA, when he had the
Oh,
shorter hair?
Oh,
Like,
you want
he-
short
no
hair
beard?
styles.
He got the short hair. Like he had that like kind of Sting type of vibe when he was like turning heel and went to New Japan and became part of the Bullet Club and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool, AJ Styles. But yeah, I think he I mean, what is he, like 45 years old, 46? I mean, he's up there in age. And yeah, he's gonna lose that step. And yeah, I mean, what do you expect from Logan Paul? I mean, he's not a wrestler who's there on the road with the guys and whatnot. So this was kind of like, yes, it was a little bit of a letdown match because they are two very athletic, they wrestlers and all that, but it just a little bit of a fumble here, again with the way that this was all set up, and the whole Karrion Kross thing and all that. I mean, that was bad too. That little segment where he was gonna, I don't know who that guy was, that was gonna try to give the brass knuckles to
one of the cronies.
Logan Paul. Yeah, one of his cronies. I'm sorry. And then, Karrion Kross just came out of nowhere with like, I think that part of it was just so cheesy to me.
Yeah.
It just something like Karrion Kross was all pissed off on the night of the Hall of Fame saying, don't ever do that to me with AJ Styles when they pass by. I can't believe you did this. And then you're coming in and you're saying, oh, here, I'm going to go save AJ Styles. And hey, we could be, what the fuck are you doing? Like that whole thing doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
It's been a weird build. It's been a weird build.
It's just been a weird build. Yeah.
He's trying to make him turn heel, but it's not believable. And dude, Karrion Kross is at a weird spot in his career where I think I like Karrion Kross and Scarlett Boudreaux. But again, maybe it's I said Kross was always better when he was bald. Maybe it's a hair thing, but it's not. It's a direction thing. He seems really directionless, and there's rumors like he's really involved and like almost like an Aleister Black, where like he's really hands-on with all of the promos and booking and different things like that. But at this point, it's almost like you're doing too much, like just let it come naturally, or let someone else help you or something, because everything he does, it seems like aimless. It seems like lost. And I think he can be a guy. I'm not ever gonna say he's like a main event guy, but he can be a guy. But or maybe it works better in the indies. There's some guys that just work better in smaller markets and smaller shows, and maybe Karrion Kross is one of those kind of guys. Like NXT, he worked in NXT better than he has been in the main roster.
Yeah, his storylines just fall flat. They're just the same. I don't want to say the same shit over and over again, but they're just like, they just don't do nothing for me. And as far as Paul goes, like you were saying, Baloney, his athletic ability is there. Like if this dude didn't, and I'm not sure if I sent this to the group or a side text to somebody, if he didn't have the money that he had right now, this dude would be a freaking phenomenal wrestler. Like if he was there day in, day out, like, and didn't have like the social media money that he has, this guy would be like a really, really solid wrestler. But the problem is he's already got money. So like he doesn't have to do the house show grind. He doesn't have to do all that bullshit that like all these other guys do to have to earn their keep. And so with that, it's like he's almost got like that like mid-card like Brock Lesnar vibe, to where like he doesn't really have to show up every week and build storylines. Like storylines kind of get built for him, like on the side and all that shit. And there's nothing more as a wrestling fan than I hate, and trust me, it's like nobody understands like working more than I do and taking time off and shit like that. But like when it comes to my man soap opera, I need you there every week. I need you there, and I like I'm expecting like when I tune in, I want to see you there, and that was like the whole thing with Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns with his shit or whatever.
The Rock right now.
The Rock right now. I mean, The Rock is on a whole nother level. He's setting another tone to where like you don't even have to show up for fucking your daughter's birth at this point. Like the kid's born, let me know, I'll send you money type shit. That's how the vibe I felt with this tonight. But that's where I have a beef with Paul. Is it sucks because when he's in the ring, you're like, holy shit, I can't believe he hit that spot or whatever. He shows the talent that like people work for years for. And you're just like, fuck, like if I could have this like week in, week out, I mean, maybe his body wouldn't live up to it, but like it pisses you off because that's how he is. That's his cockiness, and his cockiness might not even be part of his character. That just might be how big of a douche he is in regular life. If that makes sense. I don't know. I'm just rambling on at this point.
No, I mean, it does make sense, but it's also like, I mean, the argument is to be made is like, he doesn't have to be on the road doing the house shows
he's got
because no, not even the money. He's drawing eyeballs that otherwise wouldn't be watching. Like same thing with Travis Scott, right? Like us as like lifetime wrestling fans.
Yeah.
Like, they're bringing in eyeballs that are not us. They're bringing in casual YouTube people and people outside of our little echo chamber. While we may not like it, and we definitely don't like it, especially in the Travis Scott scenario.
Yeah.
I understand why the business of WWE does it. But yeah, at this point, for I think the novelty of Logan Paul has worn off, right? He's done the spots, he's done the matches, either commit fully or don't and be done with it. But like he built a wrestling ring at his house. He has Hurricane Helms fly in and work with him and like build his matches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's why it has worked. But at this point, like, there's no reason why like now we're on what, year 3? I think he's 3-0 at WrestleManias or something like that. Like
I know.
Enough. We're like, just let's call it be done with it.
Dude, what I need is I need him to get fucking destroyed like Speedy did with Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker fucking destroyed that dude. That's a publicity we need. Give me some Braun Breaker fucking spears.
Just spearing YouTubers once a week.
Man.
Just bring in a YouTuber and have him spear them. That's actually a good.
Not these YouTubers though.
No.
Dude, I'll eat a spear for a paycheck.
I'm gonna Ryan's World. How old is that kid now?
Oh, that kid's like got a mustache now. My daughter used to love him opening boxes and like unboxing toys or whatever. And like recently, I'm like, this guy's like his voice dropped. It's deeper than mine now. I'm like, this
dude, I'm telling you, man. 2 Christmases ago, like Madison was like, oh, I want this treasure chest. I'm like, okay, sounds good. And I'm like, first time I ever heard of this dude. I look him up and like, this dude makes $70 million a year. I'm like, what the fuck? You know, like, damn. I'm like, we need to get our YouTube numbers.
One last match before the main event. Again, it was another surprise. People were pissed that Bayley got, taken out of her spot that she's earned.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is we don't really know. Obviously, we read the dirt sheets, but at this point, the dirt sheets are just part of the storylines. Like Meltzer and everyone else, Ryan Satin and everyone feeding information. Are feeding information that the WWE wants you to know. So like everyone white knighting for Bayley, this might have not been Bayley's spot to begin with. She might have been told months ago that Becky Lynch is coming back. You think Becky Lynch just decided to come back 2 days ago and said, hey, put me in the match? There's probably training involved and there's probably things that have to be done for this to happen. So while I do agree that Bayley deserved the spot. She's been working her ass off. She's been working NXT, Raw, SmackDown, everything. Bayley's one of the core members of the group. People white knighting for her don't know the real story. We don't know. We just don't know. So Becky Lynch returns and wins the tag team titles with Lyra Valkyrie. I am never going to pronounce that name right. But
no.
Hey, you got it right.
You got it right.
But yeah. So the big thing is Becky Lynch returns, and obviously Bayley is taken from that spot.
Yeah. Before I pee, I'm gonna say Bob Nightingale probably broke that news story.
Yeah. At this point, Ryan Satin and all those guys are basically the Bob Nightingale of wrestling. So what do you guys think of this? People were pissed. I thought it was fine, dude. This Becky Lynch returning isn't gonna change my life, right? But she's huge to a big segment of the population that the WWE should be focusing on is women fans. When I saw the girl crying in the audience that she returned, I'm like, okay, this makes sense. This is a good moment. This is a big moment. That's awesome. So like, yeah, it didn't affect me much. I'm going to complain much more about, John Cena and Travis Scott, but people complain about Becky Lynch returning. I'm like, oh, this is actually, I thought that was pretty good. I mean, huge pop.
I like Becky Lynch. I like the whole segment when she, became like that whole thing with the man and type of thing. Like, I think that really solidified her being a very top-notch women's wrestler. And there's pros and cons of this thing because yes, you're probably right that, Becky Lynch, they did tell Bailey that, hey, this is what's going to happen and all that. And they probably know, like, oh, Bailey, I'm sure she'll probably go onto the side and, she'll let one of her friends go in there. But that's still kind of fucked up to me. Like, I mean, Bailey is just as good as Becky Lynch. And she has carved herself as becoming one of the top-notch WWE women's wrestlers as well, too. So that whole thing, yes, we don't know what the real story is, but to me, that's still like when you brought somebody else in, and now that they won the championship, it's like, all right, where does Bailey fit into this? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the storyline now with this? And how are they gonna tie that all in? And if she wasn't hurt, if if this was all true, that they push her to the side so that way Bailey could go in there, or whatever the case may be. I'm just interested to see how this goes moving forward and what they're gonna do. So I'm not gonna criticize it that much just yet, but I do think that the way that they did Bailey, they did her wrong. That I think that they could have done a different way with Becky Lynch getting into the WrestleMania than replacing her. But like I said, we'll see how this goes.
All right, question for you guys then, because this could have easily been done. And I understand the history of Raquel and Liv. They have a history with Lyra Valkyrie or whatever. But is the internet this pissed off if they do the opposite and somebody attacks Valkyrie so that she's out of the WrestleMania spot, and then it's Bailey and Becky as tag team champions? Because she's already got the Intercontinental Championship. There's no reason for her to be, Lyra 2 belts or whatever. Like, right. If they take her off that spot and it's Bailey and Becky, is the internet this pissed off?
Internet remains pissed off.
Yeah,
I think the internet's going to be pissed off
regardless. Because I don't think people would be white knighting for someone that's fairly new compared to Bailey.
So this is what I think is going to happen. I think Bailey's just on vacation. I think Bailey's on vacation. You're not going to see her for a little while.
Well, she got beat up on SmackDown or whatever, so they're going to write her off. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. They're gonna write her off. This is her vacation. It sucks. They probably gave her a little shut the fuck up bonus, for not getting a WrestleMania paycheck. And, you probably, if I had to take a guess, you probably won't see Bailey till maybe hyping up before SummerSlam. Like that big of a
long vacation.
Who knows?
That is a long vacation.
Here's the other thing too. You don't know. She might have an underlying procedure that she needs to get done or something like that.
That's why I said I'm not going to.
Yeah, something.
I'm not going to critique it. Yeah, I'm not going to critique this as that much. I wasn't upset or pissed like how some other people might have been with this whole thing, but
yeah.
I just think I'm just going to wait and see how this storyline turns out, because maybe they use Bailey as a heel or something like that, or whatever they do with her. Maybe it could turn ties or whatever. But like I said, I'm not going to critique it too much or get in too much into it, because I'm we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, it's all speculation at this point.
Yeah.
We don't know what they've booked. We don't know. Maybe they have something even better lined up for her, and we don't know. So it's just wait and see approach. I personally don't have a problem with Becky at all. I think she's great. I think that she brings numbers, Baloney, what you mentioned about, them panning in the crowd and showing that girl crying with it emotionally excited.
Bro,
Kick him.
He's getting mad at a 12-year-old fan for crying for Becky Lynch. This guy's been bitching about John Cena and Travis Scott for 2 hours.
She was like fucking 25. Dude, she had so many tears. Like, I don't know how you produces that many tears in that little amount of seconds, dude. She was like, I want to get the time elapse.
Oh, you think that was fake?
Big Becky Lynch fan.
That was a work.
I mean, I was ugly crying when Dom won his title tonight.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's for rightful reasons. But
all right, so we've gone an hour 25 minutes. We said we're gonna come on here quick and talk WrestleMania, but this was a lot of fun. Obviously, we're gonna be on the Bumcast, so please watch the Bumcast tomorrow night. We got Gas Money Bob on. We're gonna talk White Sox. We're gonna talk Bears. A lot of nonsense. But after the Bumcast, then you could watch the Raw after WrestleMania, like we will, because we won't be watching live. No spoilers.
Record it so you can skip the commercials.
All right. Any last overarching, dude? Should we just do these for like the big pay-per-views? Can we announce? Let's do this for Money in the Bank.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's make
Money in the
Money in
the. I don't want to do it for Payback or Judgment. What is the next one? The one after Mania?
Payback. It's Payback.
I don't know if we have to do it for Payback. Do we have to do it?
Backlash.
Yeah, Backlash, Payback. I'm thinking Money in the Bank, Mania, Survivor Series, Rumble,
the big
Mania, the big ones.
How about this? How about we do
Double
it
or Nothing.
every time we think that we're better writers than them? How about we do it every time?
We're gonna do it every Raw.
Yeah, every month. Yeah.
We're gonna do one
every
for
week.
AEW. We're gonna be.
You say every Raw?
We're gonna do one for every wrestling show we watch.
Peter, I know it's Friday night, but I'm pissed off with that SmackDown.
yeah. You're gonna text me. I got something to say. Go live. That's basically what happened today.
Yeah.
Lucha Bums going live.
But no, I appreciate it. Thank you. Let me vent. I didn't have to go to bed angry. So thank you.
Yeah, this was a good therapy session.
It was. That's what we do for a lot of these wrestling fans. You know, this is where we vent.
All right, you know what I got? I got an ad, and we might as well play an ad, but this is going to be the end of the show, guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. Watch us tomorrow night on the Bumcast, our regular show. But yeah, we will be back talking wrestling because this was a lot of fun, and we got a lot to say. So keep an eye out for those. All right. ShySportsBums.BigCartel.com is the home for all Chicago Sports Bums merch. We have Bears, Hawks, Sox, and Bums merch available. Anything you need to get ready for a big game or a Chicago Sports Bums event. Remember, all profits go directly back into our Whiskey at Comiskey tailgates to keep the beer and food free for everyone. So head over to ShySportsBums.BigCartel.com and pick up a couple Toot Tree shirts today.